What's going on, mates? Teacher Manneh here, and welcome to another episode of Life Podcast. Here we talk about Jesus, his life, his teaching, and of course his ministry. But the most important thing is to know who he is to us and to know who we are to him. This is Life Podcast. Today, in this podcast, we will be talking about food. Where did it first come from, and what were they for? Now, the very first mention of food in history is found in the Bible, particularly in the Genesis narrative. The Bible says in Genesis chapter 1, verses 11 and 12, and I read, "And God said, Let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants, and trees on the land that bear fruit with seed in it, according to their various kinds. And it was so." Verse 12. The land produced vegetation, plants bearing seed according to their kinds, and trees bearing fruit with seed in it, according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. Well, obviously, the first thing that we see in these verses, especially when talking about food, is God. The Bible says, "And God said." Well, I don't know about you, but this, for me, is a very much significant point. I mean, it's not easy to think about God, especially in such a time as this, when the talk of the town and when the minds of men are consumed by food production and very much by food consumption. When the first thing that we think of in the morning is what food to prepare and serve ourselves. The Bible today reminds us that if there be one thing that would first occupy and engross the mind early and every day, that would be thoughts about God. Amidst the clamor of food around us, we need to stop and, like never before, think about Him and His words. The Bible says, "Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God." Matthew 4, verse 4. And so the next time we ever think about food, the next time we ever think about preparing food or finding food, let's think first about the God who said, "Let the land produce vegetation. Let the land produce food." Yup. And by thanking and praising Him, we come even more closer to the one and only source of food that never runs out, and food that alone can truly satisfy.